Hello to everyone joining this video, and thank you for joining me as I speak about why compassion is so important. So when we do inner work and we start looking at our shadows and the energies inside of us that have maybe not been too favorable for us, and we're realizing that we'd actually rather go without them, sometimes we realize that these energies have come through because of traumas we've experienced in our lives. And a lot of trauma we've experienced in our lives can come from our family or from society or from the people around us. And that can lead to potential resentment, because obviously when you realize, oh, I've had this thing in my life for so long and it's their fault, then of course the first thing we're going to do is get angry at those people, or it's a very natural response to feel annoyed or angry or sad about how you've been treated or how society at large has been treated. And that is a valid experience, and it's definitely important to experience anger and to experience sadness and to honor all of those emotions. But what we need to realize when we're doing the healing work and we're realizing, oh, someone's done something to me and it's hurt me, is that the way to fully heal from the experiences you've had is to forgive them and to have compassion for their experience. Because when you have compassion for their experience, you're extending out the love that you're cultivating for yourself to them. And so they don't get to have the energy of your sadness and your anger, which their energy body actually feeds off. Because when you keep the anger for someone and keep the grudge for someone or keep the pain for someone, you keep them alive inside your mind, and your energy is getting used up whilst their impact on you is still being fed. The impact that they had on you, that moment, it still has charge and it still has power, because you're not letting go of what they've done. And so when you extend compassion, you actually allow yourself to come fully into healing. And what's more with compassion is, if you are feeling enraged by that person or angered by that person, then there's something in you that still hasn't healed, which means that you're still attached to that moment and you can't let it go. And of course, so many of us have experienced trauma, and so it's hard for us to release those moments from our life and to just let them free, because in a sense also with our trauma responses like control, like certain eating habits, it's hard for us to actually detach from those things and detach our trauma from those trauma response behaviors. When you realize my trauma is coming through in these behaviors, and so these behaviors comfort me, and in order to get rid of these behaviors, I need to detach from the trauma and move on with my life in the best possible way forward, where my own light and my own soul's purpose and energy is actually feeding what I do. Then you can fully be free of the past. And so what I'm saying here essentially is that in order for us to actually live the lives we want to live, we need to practice compassion for those that have hurt us. And that could be past life trauma, this life trauma, societal conditioning. When we have compassion for those humans or those people, those beings that have done things to us, that have harmed us and hurt us, then we can become whole again by realizing that they have made their own mistakes. And of course, it could be really grave and awful mistakes that they've made and things they've done towards other people. But when we move through our own trauma and we start to bring through that energy of love, which is our fundamental nature and what exists within us and what resides within us at the core, then we can feel that there is no need to hold this anger for this person who isn't connected to love, which is why they've done this behavior, why they've created this trauma in my life or created trauma in society. Is because they are reflecting back onto you or onto society their own intimate suffering. And you hear it a lot that your inner reality, it creates your external reality. And so for so long, these people who have been suffering have been creating these systems and world systems of suffering. And as that changes and you realize, when I hold the love and the vibration of love, which is so powerful in my heart and in my being, all that can happen is the world becomes this love. You are moving with such force and such power. It's amazing. I've started looking after this little girl, and she showed me this kids cartoon called Steven Universe, about Steven, who is part of this crew called the Crystal Gems, and they have these gems in their belly buttons, and then their physical form forms around this gem. And what's so beautiful is I've only watched the first couple of episodes with her, and the message coming through instantly is Steven's superpower and his way of activating his gem, which is his power, is through love. He needs to be experiencing pleasure and love in order to connect with his superpower. And that is such an incredible message that children are being fed now. It's amazing. the times are amazing. So yeah, that's really why I wanted to just share with you why I think the importance of compassion is so necessary for what we're experiencing right now. Because if you hold yourself in love and compassion, you allow that to become your reality. If you hold the anger and the sadness and the frustration of that person, that stays your reality. And it's truly fascinating when you realize the power of our minds to create what we want to see and what we want to have in our lives. And the more you trust that that is the case and that you can heal, and no one's putting pressure on you to be happy and positive all the time, because that's not possible, but just to acknowledge the sadness, hold the anger, hold the sorrow, let it out, and then invite in the peace and the calm that comes through when you decide to go, I am love, and I get to hold love at every moment. So thank you for listening to this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you again soon, I'm sure. Loads of love. Mwah.